So I want to openly table that discussion. It needs to be openly talked about. Because this government is getting more and more brazen by the day. What the communist puppet talked about yesterday on the airwaves is a disgrace. And it's all these false flags are being done for is to try to disarm America. And you have the absolute cowardly trash European weakling cowards who think America should be disarmed. You don't know what freedom means, boys. You don't know, you couldn't spell it. Okay? You're a bunch of domesticated dogs. And you love your domestication. And you think you're a man. You don't know the meaning of the word. Think that only government should have guns. I mean, you gotta be joking. Anybody who's not vehemently angry about that is asleep. Is asleep. And if you're not talking to these people just like that, you're asleep. They can't understand what gun ownership is for. They're asleep. The information's been out there. They're ignoring it. No, because when your government comes for your rights and freedoms physically, you know what you're going to do? You're going to crap your pants. And you're going to piss in your pants like a little child. And then you're going to go in the ground because you're going to have no means of resistance. You know what? That's not happening here in America. Boys. You know, this whole European attitude, it disgusts me. Just because you're already enslaved because you gave up your firearms decades ago doesn't mean that you're going to lead us into that condition, punks. It's never going to happen here. It doesn't matter how many people get killed. It doesn't matter how many children get killed. It ain't happening here. Know it. Know it. So how's that for some vitriol? Huh? How's that for some righteous indignation about what's happening here in America? Turning this country into a fascist communist regime. And now they want to take what they laughingly call assault weapons away. Assault is a behavior, clowns. It's not a kind of weapon. A semi-automatic rifle is not an assault weapon. Assault is a type of behavior. Can a semi-automatic rifle be used for assault? Yes, it can. So can a baking pin. Okay? You know, this is a mind control tactic to try to demonize a tool that is intended to be used as a defense against government tyranny. And people still don't understand it. Go back and watch my Second Amendment presentation. Again, the true meaning and purpose of the Second Amendment. Look it up on my website in the video section. Look it up on YouTube. Watch it. Share it. One of my most important presentations that's out there. But, you know, it's like once they've taken the man out of, you know, a physical body, it's very difficult to reinfuse the essence of an actual man into a male body. That's another thing I want to talk about today. You know, how emasculated this society is. And Europe is way farther along than even America. And, you know, it's disgusting. It's something I'm going to talk about a lot at Free Your Mind 4. This gender bending, you know, the emasculation of the American male and the masculization of the female. That's how they know once they confuse gender roles, you got a society on the road to enslavement. Because there ain't going to be no real women in that society, and there certainly ain't going to be no real men. They're going to be weak, They're not going to resist. They're not going to know the meaning of rebellion against tyranny. Because they're cowards. And that's what you have. You have a whole society of men with no bass in their voice who wouldn't lift a finger to fight against tyranny. They're garbage. And they've been constructed that way. They've been built. They think their thoughts are their own. They think the way they are is their choice. It's a joke. You're a joke. A joke that you even believe that crap. That you made those choices. Those choices were made for you, little boys. You think the way social engineers and dark occultists wanted you to think. According to their plan, according to their specifications, and they built you to spec. You don't even know your thoughts aren't your own. You don't even know your behaviors aren't your own. You're running a program. You're running a program that was written by people you never met and never will meet. I want to tell some anecdotes about things I've seen in society that actually have happened to me and friends of mine. That if you don't understand the depth of mind control by even hearing these couple of anecdotes, I don't know what will explain it to you. You know, just to go back quickly, these false flags, this one in Paris, now this one in California. I mean, it's so blatant that these are scripted events with crisis actors, you know, who don't even display any real emotions, real grief, real trauma. And the news media is just constructing this whole narrative that this is, all just because of gun owners. We got to get these guns out of society. And they're tugging on the heartstrings because that's what they do, you know, and they got people thinking with their emotions, not with any logic, not with their minds, not with the logical part of the mind. You know, this neoliberal retard logic that goes like, we need to get all the guns away from private citizens, and so they'll only be in the hands of government and criminals who don't care about laws. You'll take them away from all the law-abiding people, you know, who don't want to harm anybody. They'll have no ability to resist the government and the criminals who don't care about what laws get passed. But you know what? There's a segment of people who are going to be turned into criminals because they are good people who don't care about what laws get passed when those laws take their rights. You're not taking my rights. You're not taking one firearm I have. You're not taking one magazine I have. You're not taking one thing I have for defense away from me. Not without bloodshed. And you know what? You think I'm the only person who feels like that in America? Let me tell you something. I'm tame about it compared to some people I even know personally. Let alone probably some of the really, really vehement people out there, how they feel about this. It would make me look tame. A very encouraging sign regarding the sentiment here in America regarding all this crap with these false flags. The day after Thanksgiving, on Black Friday, there was 185,000 gun sales in America on one day. I mean, that is like a gift from God itself, as far as I'm concerned. You know, I mean, that's one of the only things that has put a smile on my face in the last several months. That is such a beautiful, majestic statistic that it's just like I'm ecstatic over it. Because what that shows you is there's people who are awake to what's going on and they're drawing the line in the sand. And if you want to get total enslavement done here in America, you are just very much listen to the words that are leaving my mouth right now. Globalists, dark occultists, rogue people in government and military who are going to follow your orders to your own deaths. The only way, the only possible way that you're going to have of leading this particular country into total enslavement is through total war. And you better know that like you know your own name. You're not going to get it done without that. Just know that. And you want to keep trying to bring that dynamic, you're going to get war. That's what you're going to get. So, very encouraging statistic. That means that people aren't fooled by this agenda. Not here anyway. Some of them are. Some of them are retarded idiots who actually believe government cares about them and is trying to protect them. You know, like this clown, this commie clown coming on, network TV last night and, just talking like, they're supposed to be our protectors. Really? You're supposed to be my protector. I don't need a protector, boy. I don't need a protector. I don't need or want a protector. I'm my protector. And ultimately, living in accordance with natural law is my ultimate protection. That's what all the protection I need in any dimension of existence, anywhere. So I don't need anybody coming up and telling me, I'm going to be your protector. I'm not a punk little boy, child like you. I don't want a protector. I take that responsibility unto myself like every human being should. This is the problem with society. You got too many little punk boys and girls who say, I don't want that responsibility. I want to be an eternal child. I don't want to have to learn how to defend myself. I don't want to have to learn how to fight the bad guys if I have to. And therein lies the problem, ladies and gentlemen. Weak people. Weak-minded and weak-bodied people who don't want to do what's required to keep their rights, to keep their freedom. No, they want somebody else to provide that quote-unquote service for them. You know what? It's not possible. That, first of all, it's not possible for you to abdicate that responsibility. It's always yours. And it's not possible for anybody else to truly protect you. That's not what these enslavers in government ever do anyway. All they do is show up after the fact. Ain't one cop or soldier that I know that ever protected anybody. Especially cops. All they are good at doing is showing up after the fact and making things worse. You want to talk about terrorism? There ain't nobody that's ever made any kind of a terroristic threat to me or made me feel like I was being terrorized or oppressed except police. Except American police. They're the only people who have ever made me feel physically threatened in life. That's it. No terrorist organization, no terror cell, no radical religionists anywhere have ever made me personally feel threatened for my personal physical safety. The only people in life who have ever done that to me are American police. So who are the real terrorists? Who are people who inspire feelings of unease and discomfort and threat, duress, in other words? Only people who have ever done that to me in my life are American police. I ain't even worried about gangster, criminal thugs, and thieves on the street. Because at least, again, you know where they stand. They're not people who are trying to tell you they're your protector while they're trying to physically harm you. You know where you stand with a common street thug criminal. The problem with government is people believe they have legitimacy in doing the violence that they do. Encroachment means. This is the concept of incrementalism, of the stepwise progression to gradually get to where you want to go by advancing very slowly so it's unnoticeable. You're encroaching upon it slowly. You're gradually eroding it. This is called incrementalism. And this is what all tyrants do. This is what smart tyrants do, I should say, because someone who wants to make a quick power grab is going to be immediately recognized for the tyrant that they are. They're going to try to take too much too fast. And then people who care at all about freedom, even a little bit, will say, wow, we don't want to accept this. You know, yesterday we had this freedom, today it's gone. That's tyranny. That's a total infringement upon our rights. They would understand what was going on. But if you do it very incrementally in slow, gradual, stepwise progressions, most people never see it happening. The whole concept of the pot with the frog, and you boil the water, you put the frog in the pot when the water temperature is just fine. You know, it's not hot at all, it's nice and comfortable for the frog, and then you turn it up very slowly. And it'll stay in there. If you put it in a pot of very hot water, it would jump right out. This is what incrementalism is. Gradually making changes that lead to tyranny. That's why registration of firearms is always proposed. The universal background checks, gun permits, gun registration. I mean, we already have in certain states where people need permits to buy guns, to own. That's a complete unconstitutional enactment. I mean, you know, people should be seeing red flags all over the place if your state has any kind of a law that says you need a permit by government to own a firearm of any kind. Of any kind. Once they start instituting incrementalist measures like that, you can guarantee right around the corner is going to be confiscation of firearms. And they haven't tried this in states right now, but they've done it during national disasters, during natural disasters, like in Katrina. National Guard troops were going door to door confiscating weaponry. And, you know, what I think about that is people should not have turned one thing over to them, even if it meant coming to deadly force being used. Anybody that submits to that is submitting to slavery. I don't care what their circumstances are. You let yourself be disarmed, you might as well accept your chains right then and there. They'll use any excuse that they can get their hands on. These incrementalists, these Fabian socialists, because that's what they are. They're neo-Marxists, they're communists, they're Fabian socialists. The incrementalists, see, that's how they think they're going to push socialism and eventually communism into society. And, you know, the Nazis are no different. What do you think, that's any different? It's called National Socialism. That's what NSDAP stood for. National Sozialistische Deutsche Arbeiterpartei, the National Socialist German Workers' Party. That was the Nazi party. They were socialists. People want to think, oh, all these regimes are so different. Maoists, you know, the communist Maoists were so different from the Nazis. Oh, the Maoists were extreme left-wing. The Nazis were extreme right-wing. You know what, folks? They all meet at the wingtips, which is called 100% totalitarianism. Death camps, secret police, total ownership of property by the state, total ownership of the people by the state, slavery. You think it's any different? You're buying into semantics and in word games and language. It's all the same measures that they enact. Same actions that they take. Anybody that thinks they're anything different has no long view of history and absolutely no understanding of what totalitarian regimes are. None. Oh, Stalin's Soviet Union was so drastically different than Mao's China and Hitler's Germany, don't you know? So drastically different than the form of incremental socialism and incremental fascism that's being brought into the United States. Because these two seemingly opposite wings of totalitarianism said, hey, we haven't been able to take down the United States from without. Let's shake hands, conquer them from the inside, incrementally, so they don't understand what's happening because their people are asleep at the switch, and we'll sort out the spoils of ideological warfare, political warfare, on the other side when we have the country in our grasp. And if you don't understand that's what happened, you're a naive child. And you have no long view of history at all.